Hello and welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. Today I'm at the east side of Islay and we have a great view of the Jura and the paps of Jura. Between Islay and Jura is the Sound of Islay, and it flows downwards, and depending on the tide it flows either one or the other direction. And behind me we see the Caol Ila Distillery. It's home of the Caol Ila whiskey that is such a great peated whiskey, and today we're gonna see how this whiskey is made. Behind me is the malt mill of Caol Ila, and this malt mill has to work really hard because it has to produce malt for 6,500,000 liters per year. This means this mill has to mill 300 tons of barley per week, and this is 3 trucks or lorries of barley per day. So Caol Ila produces mostly peated whiskey, and most of the whiskey is supported to the blend whiskey industry. So that is the peaty component of blends. Also, Caol Ila does some parts are unpeated, so at certain times of the year they shut down the peated barley and they take in the unpeated barley and produce a few weeks of unpeated whiskey. How do they do the peated ones? They actually get lightly peated malt and highly peated malt, and then they blend it together to get exactly 38 ppm. So this is what Caol Ila is aiming for. Behind me is the mash tun, and the mash tun is filled with 13.5 tons of grist and mixed with water at 64 degrees. And what they do is they don't have 3 waters or 4 waters, but they have 2 waters, but they do it continually. So the second water, as you might like to say, sprinkles on the water with 64 degrees Celsius, and they already drain the water from down under, and they gradually increase the temperature to 84 degrees. And in the end of that process, when the starch level and the sugar level is too low, they take out the water, store it, and use it for the next batch to flush out the starches and the sugar. Behind me are the 8 of the 10 washbacks of Caol Ila. They are filled with one batch from the mash tub with 63,000 liters, and it takes about 45 to 50 hours to ferment them through, and we end up with a beer of about roughly 9% alcohol. Now I'm at the heart piece of the distillery, and right next to me is one of the 3 wash stills. And what is really interesting about Caol Ila is they're trying to make a lighter character. And how they do it is they fill the wash still up to about here, and compared to other distilleries like, let's say, Lagavulin, they fill it up nearly up to the watch glass. So there is a lot of room for reflux, and all the heavier, oilier part tends to go back into the pot and not be distilled. So what we are left is our alcoholic fumes that have a lighter taste. The spirit still is where the character is defined most during the distillation process. So here it is important. They also fill it a bit less, and they distill for 6 hours, and they heat it up really fast. So let's say we compare it again to Lagavulin. They distill with 12 hours compared to here with 6 hours. So we get a lot of lighter character with more floral notes. The other thing Caol Ila does to increase that lightness and floralness is they take a cut that is from the ABV a bit higher. So the foreshots are a bit smaller. Then we have the center cut, which tends to be higher because of the shorter foreshots. And then we have the last bit, the feints, which tend to be a bit bigger, and they get back into the next distillation. So yeah, that's how the bit lighter character of Caol Ila rises. Also, when you try to get into the bit more lighter character, you tend to distill a bit of the peatiness out there. Caol Ila, compared to Lagavulin, have the same peatiness inside the malt, but the peatiness tends to come out in Lagavulin more than in the Caol Ila. And the last thing that's great about this still house here is the great view. When you look out that big glass window, you see the sound of Jura flowing past you with the waves, and in the background you have the Isle of Jura and the icons of Isle of Jura. The paps of Jura just rise, and today we're lucky we don't have that many clouds, so we have a great view and clear look at the paps of Jura. Unfortunately, there are no warehouses at the distillery. There are only about 1,000 casks left at the distillery. The rest of it is all stored on the mainland, as most of the whiskey tends to be for the blend whiskey. But I'm here at the old cooperage, and here you can see during a tour how the casks have been rejuvenated in the old days and what kind of tools and materials have been used. And what else you can do is you can do a cask tasting. Here we have a bit of an untypical cask for Caol Ila. It's a very old, from 1988, a very old sherry cask, a very big old sherry cask. So I'll take a sample. And the first thing you notice is it has a slightly red color, and that comes from the sherry cask. It's a bit cold in here, so you don't get the full complexity of it, but you all can already feel that there's a slight peat note and there is a sherry note in there. You get a good taste of peat that covers it all, but you also get a fruitiness. I get a fruitiness and some of the dryness and some of the wood flavors and tannins that you would expect from European oak. Yeah, a bit of dryness in my mouth. So yeah, the second cask is a hogshead. And this is more like the spirit you know from Caol Ila. The hogshead is a cask that has been made from staves and from parts of old used bourbon casks. So lighter color, about a few bits floating around in here. That's because it's straight from the cask, haven't been filtered at all, and it's cask strength. Still cold. Get a bit of a peat note, and you would probably get some flowers and stuff in there, which you can't get because of the temperature. Bit strong on the alcohol because of the cask strength. But you can feel that's more like the character of Caol Ila. Very light peat note. Yeah, so that was it with the tour, and we continue with a little tasting and a few questions. I'm here with Andrew Milson, and you're the Isla Group Manager, and you've been working for Diageo for 17 years, and 25th distillery you've been working for. That's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for having us here.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
So yeah, it's a great place. So I got a few questions about. Let's do Caol Ila first.
Sure.
Yeah, we've been collecting questions at our forum and our blog and on YouTube. And so Caol Ila is a big workhorse for the Diageo brands like Johnnie Walker, J&B. But you also do single malt whiskey at Caol Ila, the Caol Ila single malt whiskey. How is the distribution with that one?
Okay, I think the good news story for those lovers of both blended and single malts is we're making more Caol Ila than probably we've made for a very, very long time. and we're making more for single malts. So in terms of the range that we now have, I think most people that are fans have tried the 12-year-old, have tried the 18-year-old. But we now have new expressions like Moch, or in recent years we've had the non-peated variants with Stichel Reserve. So the good news story for folk that love Caol Ila is there's more of it becoming available, more of it from ourselves, which is even better. You know, Caol Ila's always been big in terms of independent bottlings, but we've been doing more ourselves, so that's great. As you said, it's always been the workhorse of some of our blended products. You know, there's a great statistic about Caol Ila that it's probably the biggest peated whiskey drink in the world, in terms of volumes and the amount of liquid, albeit not necessarily in single malt. So that's something to be proud of. And we like to think of it as a bit of a hidden one here. So the good news story, there's more Caol Ila than there's ever been.
Oh, the Caol Ila single malt.
Yeah,
so we see a rise in single malt with Caol Ila.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. One question: do you still work together with independent bottlers?
Yeah, I mean, traditionally it's something that the Distillers Company and Diageo have done. You know, the independent bottlers are fans of the product. You know, they do great things in terms of getting our liquids out there and people talking about whiskey, and we would never want to get in the way of that. So, you know, yes, we can still.
So we still got, because there is a tendency that the distilleries keep their spirit, but we will see independent bottlings of Caol Ila.
Yeah, I would think we'll still see that. It's happening. Yeah.
Okay, so I've seen the pier outside.
Yes.
Is the pier still used for anything like deliveries or something?
I mean, obviously, historically, the pier would have been here for raw materials like the barley coming in to be getting malted, and for the casks. Obviously, leaving back in the day, that doesn't happen often. Very more. We occasionally do it for a special occasion or something like that. But the pier still gets used. The local fishermen still come and use it. Even some of our staff who are fortunate enough to have saved up their pennies to buy a boat. You'll quite often see the old distillery manager, Billy Stichel, lives at the top of the hill. Billy still keeps his boat moored out the back. So yeah, if you come here in the summertime, or you come here around festival time in May, you'll certainly see the pier being used, and plenty of people sitting over the side with a fishing rod in one hand and maybe a dram of Caol Ila in the other. Nice way to spend a summer's evening.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so so much for Caol Ila. You're also working for Lagavulin as well.
Yes, I'm very fortunate. I get to look after, Georgie, as I'm sure lots of people know, looks after Lagavulin, but yes, that's part of what I have as well.
So the Lagavulin, let's talk about the 16-year-old.
Yes.
Is there like you marry the cask between sherry and bourbon? Is there like a percentage wise? Can you say anything there, or how does that work?
I don't want to give too many secrets away. We obviously do. You know, I think most people that are knowledgeable about single malt and how it gets produced realise that, you know, unless it's a single cask bottling, you know, there is a marriage of casks that go on. The one thing I would say, like a lot of the industry, a lot of the distilleries, we've put more and more work into making sure the liquid is absolutely the way we want it to be as it comes off the stills. We're always looking at our wood and making sure that we're managing the casks. And I can quite honestly say we're doing this better now than we've ever done before. You've always got variability. Islay being Islay, you get rain, that impacts the peat, which impacts the malt, which impacts what happens in the distillery. So, you know, that black art of distilling still exists, you know, as much as the science is great, so we understand more and more of that. We do have variations. So in terms of that recipe, yeah, we do have things that we aim for, but that varies in terms of what we're trying to do. But the main thing for us is that we're giving that consistency. So 16-year-old, if you buy it today, buy it yesterday, buy it in a week from now, we're looking for that flavour, that taste, and the quality, which is the most important thing, is exactly the same. So, you know, we will take hits in terms of, we'll maybe drop mashes to make sure that we get the quality of the product right. So that's the main thing for us.
Okay, looking at quality here. Okay, 200th anniversary is coming up. I guess you will not spoil what's coming up,
sure,
but
sure.
Our people in the forum asked, how much do they have to put aside? Can you spoil that? How much do you have to save to get one of whatever is coming out.
I think it depends what you want to do. My suggestion for those people that can, save up and come to Islay for the 200th anniversary.
Yeah, sure.
I know that's not easy, and that can't always be done. And to be honest, there's only so many hotel rooms in Islay. But yeah, I think it's fair to say we've got a few things that are up our sleeve. I'm not going to spoil the surprise, but yeah, it's worth keeping an eye on. We've got a couple of casks that we might do something with next year.
Yeah, cool thing. So yeah, that's about it.
Sure.
Thank you very much for having us here.
No, we're delighted always to have somebody come in and have a look around.
Yeah.
Especially in December. Come to Islay in December and look, it doesn't rain all the time.
Yeah, we've been here for now over a week, and we had little rain and good weather, and it was really quiet here.
Yeah.
We could visit the distillery. It's pretty good.
Absolutely.
So yeah, thank you for having us.
Very welcome.
Yeah, thanks for watching. If you found this video interesting, then please feel free to share this video with your friends. And thank you for watching.